In recent years, AA games have really spoiled us. While all the spotlight was on the market giants, a wave of games with smaller budgets came through, offering creative worlds, amazing stories, and polished gameplay. And it's no exaggeration. Some of these games delivered so much that they left many AAA titles feeling embarrassed. They prove that you don't need billions to make a memorable game, just vision, boldness, and the desire to do something different. So, today you're going to see 20 AA games that go head-to-head and even put the market giants to shame. I'm Jax, and if you're new around here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel. If you could subscribe to help me grow, I'd really appreciate it, from one gamer to another. In the first spot, metal justice and old-school brutality meet in an adaptation that respects the original icon. Robocop Rogue City puts you back on the streets of Detroit in heavy armor, with a slow speech and a deadly aim. Each mission makes you feel like the real law enforcement agent, dealing with gangs, corruption, and decisions that don't always have easy answers. There's no rush. Robocop is slow, imposing, and lethal, just the way it should be. The setting overflows with that gritty, 80s futuristic atmosphere. The gameplay focuses on intense gunfights and brute force, with moments where you need to weigh every shot, every approach. Solving conflicts, collecting evidence, and interrogating suspects are just as much part of the job as crushing criminals. The upgrades allow you to personalize small parts of your gear, but without turning the character into something he's not. Everything was made to preserve the weight and style of the original. Each confrontation is a statement that justice, even if slow, is inevitable. The city is dense, filled with dark alleys, decaying buildings, and desperate citizens. You are as respected as you are feared, and that changes how people react to your presence. The story mixes new cases with direct references to the classic films, creating a perfect balance between nostalgia and novelty. Robocop doesn't try to reinvent the hero. It simply understands that sometimes all we want is that old metal revenge in the form of lead. In second place, epic battles take on new life in a land where 1,000 warriors aren't enough. Dynasty Warriors Origins returns to the series' roots, but with a combat scale that's never been this insane. You command a hero on gigantic battlefields, facing entire armies almost alone. Each strike knocks down dozens of enemies, turning the battlefield into a spectacle of pure destruction. The gameplay retains the essence of hack and slash, but with visible improvements in combat flow and movement options. Combined attacks, quick dodges, and special abilities give the battles a frantic pace. The map is alive, with dynamic events unfolding as the war unfolds in real time. The battlefield seems to breathe, with torn flags, rising dust, and soldiers retreating or advancing based on your actions. Dynasty Warriors is the celebration of everything the series always wanted to be, a grand, irresistible dive into the organized chaos of ancient warfare. In third place, Alien Invasion becomes synonymous with chaos and sharp jokes in a world that takes nothing seriously. Destroy All Humans 2 brings back the most sarcastic alien in gaming, now causing havoc in the 60s. Amid colorful cities and psychedelic protests, you spread destruction with absurd weapons and hilarious psychic powers. The mission? Get revenge on humans, make fun of everything, and take down some government conspiracies. A game that knows destroying everything can, and should, be fun. The gameplay mixes shootouts, abductions, disguises, and a lot of humor, encouraging creativity when raising hell. Flying the UFO, using telekinesis to throw cars, and disintegrating enemies with impossible weapons are just part of the arsenal. The missions are varied, full of crazy objectives that always push you to improvise. There's no right tactic. It's all about the pure joy of being absurdly destructive. The pace is fast, with no time for unnecessary breaks. The open world is divided into vibrant regions, each carrying exaggerated stereotypes with a sharp touch of satire. Caricatured characters, dialogue full of jokes, and insane situations create a setting where laughter is as constant as explosions. Destroy All Humans 2 doesn't want you to think too much. It just wants you to embrace the chaos and style and have fun as a true intergalactic invader. In fourth place, magic and survival come together in a world that changes with every step. Eternal Strands puts you in the role of a young magical weaver tasked with restoring a world shattered by out-of-control elemental forces. You face colossal creatures, traverse floating ruins, and manipulate the environment using powers that go beyond brute strength. Each biome reacts to what you do, turning the battlefield into something alive. The challenge is as great as the beauty of what's at stake. The gameplay mixes third-person action with real-time elemental manipulation, allowing you to set forests on fire, freeze lakes, or raise stone pillars to change the terrain. Battles against giant enemies require constant strategy and adaptation, using the environment as much as magic. Exploration opens up new paths and new ways to confront challenges. It's not just about defeating enemies, it's about mastering the world around you to win. Combat is fluid, creative, and rewarding. The environments are vast, fragmented between broken lands, extreme climates, and forgotten structures. Each area tells a silent story about what was lost and what can still be saved. The dynamic climate changes and environmental reactions create a sense of urgency and wonder with every new region discovered. Eternal Strands is more than a fight for survival. It's a battle to rebuild hope with your own hands. In fifth place, the Titan War of Metal gains new codes of honor and vengeance. Mechwarrior 5 Clans puts you inside a heavy cockpit where every movement needs to be calculated as if your life depended on it. Because it does. You're part of one of the fiercest clans in the Battletech universe, fighting not only to win battles, but to maintain tradition and pride. The earth shakes with every step, and victory is never guaranteed. Here, being fast is just as important as being strong. The gameplay is based on realistic mech combat simulation, where the weight, weapon temperature, and energy spent on movements matter every second. Customizing your mech is essential to adapt to missions, which vary between direct attacks, ambushes, and complex defense operations. It's not just about shooting. First, you need to aim well, manage the system's heat, and think like a real war pilot. Every mission won is earned, and every mistake is costly. The battlefields are varied, from scorching deserts to urban ruins full of traps, requiring you to know the terrain as well as your mech. Clan and alliance choices influence not just the story, but also what you can use on the battlefield. Mechwarrior 5 is about unfiltered war, where tradition, strategy, and brutality walk hand in hand, carried in tons of steel and fire. In sixth place, brutality and redemption intertwine in a story forged in blood. The first Berserker Khazan puts you in control of a betrayed and banished warrior, fighting to regain his honor in a world that has already forgotten his name. There's no mercy on the battlefield, only the weight of wrong choices and scars that never healed. Every fight is personal, each enemy a hurdle between the past and a chance for a fresh start. It's war in its rawest, most visceral form. The gameplay blends heavy hand-to-hand combat with brutal abilities that require timing, precision, and reading your opponent. Every blow has to be felt, no endless combos or out-of-place magic attacks, just pure force and technique. Progression allows you to unlock new ways to devastate enemies, but the difficulty always increases alongside it. The weight in combat serves as a constant reminder that every victory is earned with sweat and pain. There's no room for mistakes. The world is dark and indifferent, with ruined cities, decaying fortresses, and battlefields stained by history. The paths are treacherous, and hatred is as thick as the air itself. Exploring is dangerous, but also reveals secrets and fragments of a bigger story. This isn't a journey about becoming a hero. It's about surviving yourself and proving that there's still something worthy in the midst of chaos. In seventh place, lies and truths blend in a dark fable where nothing is as it seems. Lies of P reimagines a children's story in a corrupted, filthy, and unforgiving universe where mechanical puppets and grotesque beings rule streets soaked with despair. You control a creation that's not only fighting to survive, but also trying to understand its role in a city that's forgotten the difference between humanity and machine. Every step forward is a choice between truth and deceit, with real consequences for what happens next. The gameplay follows a Souls-like style, with challenging combat that requires patience, precision, and careful reading of enemies. Weapons can be combined into various configurations, changing the combat style and encouraging experimentation. Lying or telling the truth at key moments alters the story's progression and the abilities you can acquire. Each encounter, whether against bosses or the city itself, is an intense battle. Defeats are harsh, but victories are impactful. The environments mix the worn elegance of the Victorian era with the deformity of a society on the brink of ruin. Labyrinthine alleys, crumbling theaters, and forgotten workshops make up a world where every corner holds a secret or a trap. Atmosphere and narrative go hand in hand, creating a constant sense of discomfort and curiosity. There's no safe path, every advance requires sacrifice. Every answer demands a new question. In 8th place, love and curse clash in a land where the supernatural is as common as death. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden puts you in the shoes of ghost hunters in a brutal world, where vengeful spirits and moral dilemmas intertwine with every decision. You don't just fight monsters, you fight broken promises, the weight of impossible choices. Each case solved shapes the fate of the protagonist couple and the world they're trying to save or condemn. The gameplay combines intense action with deep narrative, switching between battles against spiritual entities and moments of tense investigation. Each spirit you face demands more than just strength. You need to understand its past, its regrets, before deciding what to do. Kill, banish, or redeem. Each choice has consequences that reflect on future missions. The battles are quick, brutal, and require the combined use of physical weapons and spiritual powers. The New Eden landscapes are shaped by loss and superstition, with ruined villages, cursed forests, and forgotten temples creating a dense, oppressive atmosphere. The setting weighs on the player's shoulders just as much as the moral dilemmas that arise with every decision. There's no clean path, every ending carries scars. A game that understands that sometimes saving the world means giving up everything you love. In 9th place, fear and loneliness walk hand in hand in a city submerged in fog and distorted memories. Gylt puts you in control of a girl trying to find her missing cousin in a place where nightmares have taken shape. There are no armies to face, no heavy weapons, just a lantern, the fragile courage of a child, and the persistence of someone who won't accept losing. Every empty street and every abandoned building hides more than just monsters. It hides truths that are hard to face. The gameplay mixes stealth, small puzzles, and careful exploration. The light of the lantern is your main tool, capable of revealing hidden paths and warding off creatures that feed on fear. Direct confrontations are risky and rare, forcing you to find alternative routes and act intelligently. The atmosphere is tense without relying on cheap scares, building fear through slow steps and the muffled sounds of the ghost town. The focus is on surviving and understanding. The world is a living metaphor for themes like bullying, isolation, and guilt, treated with a subtlety that surprises. Each new environment explores a different facet of pain and overcoming, without rubbing it in the player's face. Everything is designed to make you feel the fragility of being alone in a world where hope seems extinguished. A game that proves that sometimes the greatest monsters live inside us. In 10th place, spirituality and despair merge in a retreat that promised peace but hides portals to something far darker. The Chant begins with a protagonist seeking balance, isolated with a group on an island full of good intentions and mystical energy. What seemed like a journey of self-discovery quickly turns into a psychedelic nightmare. Botched rituals, parallel dimensions, and cosmic entities break the barrier between the real and the insane. An escape is no longer an option. The gameplay focuses on survival with elements of action and a management of 3 meters mind, body, and spirit. Facing creatures from beyond requires more than strength. It's necessary to maintain sanity and choose between fleeing, confronting, or using the environment to your advantage. Combat is simple, but strategic. Use incense, crystals, and spiritual abilities to manipulate enemies or block supernatural attacks. Exploring the island uncovers ancient secrets, distorted memories, and difficult decisions. The setting blends wild nature with cult elements, creating a visual contrast that reinforces the constant tension. Abandoned sacred sites, misunderstood rituals, and the eerie silence of the group create a rising sense of unease. This isn't about defeating a monster. It's about understanding what was invoked and what it awakened within each person. A game that shows that true horror can begin with seemingly good intentions. In 11th place, the fight against the end of the world takes on new dimensions, literally. Remnant 2 expands on everything the first game introduced, with even stranger parallel worlds, more brutal enemies, and a combat system that demands total focus. You face horrors and alternate realities where logic doesn't always apply, battling creatures that seem to have come straight from a collective nightmare. And the best part, each world has its own rules, unique visuals, and a story that only reveals itself to those who persist in exploring. The gameplay combines third-person shooting with hand-to-hand combat and special abilities, all in a fast-paced, heavy rhythm. Character creation allows for multiple archetype combinations, completely changing how you approach challenges. There's no one right formula. Every encounter requires adaptation, reading, and precision. The bosses are true events, with complex patterns and arenas that test movement and reaction. Whether you play solo or in coop, the challenge will always be high. The environments range from sunken cities to technological forests, through interdimensional ruins that seem to warp time and space. The story doesn't give everything away at once. It hides in documents, scattered dialogue, and the architecture of the worlds. Those who pay attention discover more than just the main mission. They uncover their own mythology. A sequel that doesn't just try to repeat success, but expands the madness in every direction. In 12th place, the French Revolution gets gears, oil, and sharp blades in a reimagining where history and fiction collide. Steelrising throws you into a Paris dominated by killer automatons, controlled by a mad monarchy. You take on the role of a machine with a soul, facing armies of iron to liberate a city screaming for change. The streets are cold, the palace is oppressive, and each new district reveals another piece of a past distorted by technology. The revolt is inevitable, whether by blood or not. The gameplay draws directly from the Souls-like well, with demanding combat, lethal enemies, and a learning curve that values patience and precision. The protagonist is agile, able to execute quick combos, dodges, and elemental attacks depending on your build. Upgrades allow you to adapt combat to your playstyle, focusing on lightness, strength, or control. The confrontations demand attention to rhythm and enemy types, always varying and requiring constant reading. The battles are tough, but fair. The settings mix decadent luxury and mechanical destruction, with Paris neighborhoods redesigned as fortresses occupied by metal monsters. The city is full of shortcuts, secrets, and alternate paths, creating an environment that rewards exploration. The narrative is dense, with themes of freedom, consciousness, and identity explored through the automatons themselves. A revolution in gears, where every spark could ignite history. In 13th place, bullets and blades fly together in a game that mixes chaos, style, and brutal action. Wanted Dead delivers fast-paced, third-person action, where a half-cyborg cop solves everything with gunfire, sword strikes, and sharp-tongued provocations. You patrol a futuristic Tokyo full of corruption, heavily armed gangs, and corporations with unfriendly plans. The vibe is B-movie with A-level production, and it works perfectly. Nothing is subtle. Everything explodes, everything bleeds. The gameplay alternates between intense shootouts and cinematic hand-to-hand combat, focusing on precise execution and a fast-paced rhythm. You slash, shoot, dodge, and stack enemies in absurd combos. The system rewards aggression with style, unlocking different finishers for each situation. Between missions, bizarre mini-games, and random moments break up the rhythm with intentional charm. Nothing follows common logic, and that's exactly the point. The environments range from chaotic streets to maximum security installations, all wrapped in neon and blood. The characters are caricatured, the dialogue exaggerated, and the soundtrack mixes strange pop with heavy rock without apologies. Everything is over the top, but intentionally so. A love letter to the nonsense of early 2000s action, where the important thing isn't understanding, it's just keep shooting. In 14th place, cosmic horror and science fiction merge in a future where only death is guaranteed. Dolmen throws you onto a hostile alien planet, filled with deformed creatures, forgotten structures, and secrets that should have stayed buried. You're part of a doomed mission, trying to survive as you face abominations and uncover the mysteries of an interdimensional mineral capable of tearing reality apart. The gameplay follows a Souls-like approach with a focus on methodical combat and resource management. Firearms and melee weapons can be combined, with the twist of using energy for special attacks or defense, creating tactical choices every second. The crafting system lets you build new weapons and armor from defeated enemies, adapting your style to what the planet demands. Fragments of history reveal a humanity lost between dimensions and horrors that defy logic. A game that turns exploration into constant tension, where the smallest victory seems ripped from the claws of the universe itself. In 15th place, courage and tragedy meet in a war where the heroes have sharp fangs and callous claws. Tales of Iron puts you in the shoes of a young rat prince who must save his kingdom from the brutal grasp of invading toads. Nothing here is childish. The world is dirty, cruel, and governed by the law of the strongest. Every battle is a fight for survival. Every victory a bloody conquest. The weight of responsibility is felt with every strike, both dealt and received. The gameplay focuses on tactical and precise combat, with dodges, parries, and attacks that demand total attention. It's not enough to attack recklessly. Each enemy has its own patterns and will punish any mistake. Weapons and armor can be swapped depending on your preferred fighting style, but everything revolves around balancing defense and offense. Boss battles are brutal, full of tension, and every conquest comes with sweat and patience. Every duel is a small war won by grit. The world is hand-drawn with rich detail, blending fallen castles, corrupted forests, and cities still resisting the siege. The intense and grave narration, made as if an epic chronicle, gives extra weight to the story without taking away the emotional simplicity that drives everything. The journey of redemption, loss, and sacrifice makes every step forward a personal victory. A blood-soaked fable of honor that goes far beyond what its appearance might suggest. In 16th place, speed and brutality blend in alleys where only the most lethal can breathe. Necromunda Hired Gun throws you into the depths of the most dangerous hive in the Warhammer 40k universe, where dirty contracts and betrayals are routine. You're a lone mercenary, armed to the teeth, hunting targets in exchange for credits and surviving by sheer audacity. There are no heroes, no innocents, just a city that chews up and spits out those who falter. The goal is simple: kill quickly and live to see another day. The gameplay focuses on frantic shootouts with extremely agile movement, including wall runs, huge jumps, and brutal executions. The weapons are varied and can be customized with outrageous upgrades, turning your arsenal into a spectacle of destruction. Accompanied by a cybernetic war dog, you track targets and clear areas with style and efficiency. There's no room for excessive caution. The game's pace demands aggression and quick decisions. The missions take you through decaying factories, infested sewers, and makeshift fortresses, each filled with enemies ready to turn your pursuit into a trap. The aesthetic is gritty, industrial, full of rust and blood, reinforcing the constant atmosphere of desperation. Nothing comes easy. Every upgrade, every enhancement is earned with sweat and escalating risks. A violent and energetic love letter to the darker, irresistible side of the Warhammer universe. In 17th place, power and survival mix in a city that never sleeps and never forgives. The Ascent places you in a collapsed megacorporation where every corner breathes crime, technology, and despair. No boss, no rules. You have to climb your way up, facing gangs, killer machines, and creatures that science wished it could have left behind. Chaos reigns in the streets, and only the fastest and most ruthless will make a difference. Climb or die trying. The gameplay combines isometric shooting with RPG elements, offering freedom to shape your combat style. Long-range weapons, cybernetic gear, and special abilities create absurd massacre possibilities. Main and side missions appear in an open world saturated with details and secondary stories. Fighting is as important as negotiating upgrades or choosing allies. Every decision could open new paths or new problems. The setting is one of the most impressive, with vertical layers, bustling markets, neon-lit alleys, and buildings disappearing into industrial fog. The atmosphere is heavy, full of voices, dirty electronic music, and the imaginary smell of burnt oil. The collapse of society isn't just the backdrop, it's the engine of the story. A dirty, addictive dive into a future where hope is expensive and survival is the only luxury that matters. In 18th place, the hidden and the brutal walk side by side in an adaptation that honors its comic roots. Hellboy Web of Wyrd throws you into a broken dimension where legends, monsters, and ancient mysteries mix in a living labyrinth. You take on the role of the famous paranormal detective with his colossal fist, exploring twisted corridors in search of answers the real world can't offer. Every mission is a fight against the impossible, where courage and raw strength are your only certainties. The gameplay focuses on heavy, deliberate hand-to-hand combat, where each punch needs to be felt. The rhythm is calculated, knowing the right moment to attack, dodge, and counterattack makes all the difference. Between battles, you explore areas full of secrets, choices that influence the path, and upgrades that further reinforce your fighting style. It's not enough to smash everything. You need to understand the rules of the WYRD to survive. Each victory raises new questions, never easy answers. The visual style stays true to the original comic, with dark environments and flat colors that give the journey an almost mythical feel. Each creature faced seems like it's come straight from the pages of a macabre fable, with grotesque and fascinating designs. The atmosphere is dense, blending dark fantasy with existential horror. A game that doesn't try to reinvent Hellboy, but rather places him on the stage where he's always belonged, fighting alone against horrors no one else would dare face. In 19th place, the battlefield extends to a place where there is no ground, only the absolute void of space. Boundary throws you into armed combat in zero gravity, turning every shootout into a deadly dance between satellites, debris, and abandoned space stations. You control combat astronauts, equipped with heavy weapons and thrusters, fighting for control in environments that defy all sense of direction. No place is safe, no approach simple. Every movement needs to be calculated by instinct. The gameplay centers on realistic zero-gravity physics, requiring absolute mastery of propulsion and positioning. The free movement in 360 degrees completely changes the dynamics of combat. Attacking, hiding, or escaping demands constant three-dimensional thinking. The weapons range from sniper rifles to heavy machine guns, all adapted for hostile environments. Every fight is fast, brutal, and unforgiving. There's no place to hide for long, only places where you fall slower. The environments, with ruined space stations, broken satellites, and debris fields, create unique arenas where danger comes from all directions. The cold, silent aesthetic of space heightens the tension, while explosions and impacts cut through the void violently. A first-person shooter like no other, where surviving depends less on running and more on knowing how to float in the controlled chaos. A war without ground, without air, and without mercy. Next up, we have a game where cuteness and carnage collide in an explosion of neon, sarcasm, and unrestrained violence. Gori Cuddly Carnage puts you in control of a super stylish cat, skating through dystopian settings on a flying skateboard, which of course is also a deadly weapon. The world has been overtaken by killer toys, and it's up to you to turn this colorful invasion into scattered pieces on the floor. Nothing is subtle, nothing is serious. Everything runs on sharp humor, insane speed, and plenty of fake blood. The gameplay blends frenetic action with exploration and acrobatics, requiring quick reflexes to navigate arenas and destroy hordes of bizarre enemies. Every move on the skateboard is an opportunity to create violent combos, alternating between slashes, gunshots, and special attacks. The levels are set up like tracks in apocalyptic playgrounds, encouraging creativity and aggression. The pace never lets up. Every mistake is punished, but every hit turns combat into a stylish destruction show. The environments explode in saturated colors and absurd shapes, mixing ruined toy stores, abandoned parks, and mutant factories. The electronic soundtrack keeps the pedal to the metal, pushing you to never stop moving. Everything in Cuddly Carnage screams irreverence, in a universe where plush aesthetics hide the savagery of an uncontrolled war. A game made for those who want to destroy the world, and have fun laughing while doing it. And tell me, have you had the chance to play any of these games? Did any of them spark your curiosity? And would you add it to your list of upcoming games? We'd love to know which one caught your attention the most. Feel free to share in the comments any game that should have been on the list but didn't make it. If you can, please subscribe to the channel to help me grow and never be unsure of what to play again. I'm leaving 2 videos in the card, one that I selected for you and another one that YouTube picked. Just click on either of them to watch. A big hug, happy gaming, and see you tomorrow.